Welcome to Let's Clear the Air, a podcast sponsored by the Allergy, Asthma, and Sinus Center, dedicated to educating listeners about allergies, asthma, and immunology.
Welcome back to Let's Clear the Air, all things allergy, asthma, and immunology. I'm your host, Liz Edwards, and today I'm joined by Dr. Paul Carter. It's so great to be with you and to get to sit down and get to know you this hour.
Hey, it's great to get to talk to you, Liz. Thank you for having me on.
I'm going to start right away, jump right in. What was the moment you knew that you wanted to go into medicine?
It's hard to boil it down to just one moment. When I was a kid, I was, as some other kids are who have allergies, in the doctor's office a lot. So I always really enjoyed the demeanor and the way my pediatrician treated me. I think so. At an early age, I had an introduction to somebody who was really good with patients, and I really admired him for that. And I think it was probably the beginning of me thinking that I might like to do something in the field of medicine.
That is so interesting that you had such a positive experience so young, and that already put you in a trajectory to go in this direction. So talk to me, what does it look like when you're coming out of high school? Where did you go to college, and when did the military part of your career begin?
Yeah, in high school, I had done a few. I already knew I probably wanted to go into medicine, so I'd done a few things in high school that made me think that I was really sure that I wanted to. An American Heart Association event and some things like that. I was also interested in other things. I mean, I think at that age you are. I was interested in law and interested in music. I was in the band. So I knew that it was hard to make a living as an instrumentalist and wasn't sure I wanted to travel all the time.
What was the instrument for you?
I was trumpet.
Hi.
So I went to college at MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, which had one of the better marching bands in the country. And so I actually was in the marching band for a while, but I majored in biology because I was starting to really think I wanted to do medicine. And interestingly enough, the person I marched next to, the other trumpet player that I marched next to in marching band, was an EMT and worked for the Rutherford County EMS in Murfreesboro.
Okay.
And he got me interested in wanting to go become an EMT. So while I'm in college, I'm also going to night classes to become an EMT to see what that's like, and really enjoyed doing that. So after 2 years of college, I went to paramedic school for a year and became a paramedic and worked as a paramedic full-time for my last 2 years of college, which was a really great experience, but made me think I wanted to do emergency medicine, which obviously is not what I'm doing, right?
Right.
And so, but one of the things I learned early, kind of interestingly, was as just an EMT, before I became a paramedic, I went through this module for bee sting because a lot of people didn't carry epinephrine back then.
Right.
So we carried epinephrine on the ambulance. So to get a special certification to be able to give epinephrine to patients, I went through a little module to do that so you could give epinephrine. And so that was kind of my first introduction to, doing emergency allergy sort of interventions. And that didn't clue me in yet that I wanted to do allergy. I still thought I just wanted to do emergency medicine or something like that. So I went to medical school at the University of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And all the way through, I think, the 4 years I was there, I was still focused on either doing trauma surgery or doing emergency medicine. In fact, I worked in the trauma center in Memphis as a suture technician. So folks who didn't need to go to surgery but just had lacerations, I was in there sewing them up at nighttime, and particularly on the weekends. So I still thought that's what I wanted to do, but during my internship, I started deciding that I didn't really want to be up all night every night,
Hmm.
and that was not conducive to good health, I didn't think. So I changed my mind and decided not to do trauma surgery, but maybe still wanted to do emergency medicine. Um, but I eventually decided to just do internal medicine, and I was interested in a lot of different areas of internal medicine, including pulmonary, cardiology, critical care, but I couldn't make up my mind really. I was having a hard time deciding what I wanted to do, and I had gone to medical school on a scholarship from the um, Air Force, which is what was my introduction to the military.
Okay.
They were going to pay my way through med school, so that seemed like a great deal. So I'll do
Yeah.
that. And then I'm thinking about what do I want to do during med school, and I end up doing internal medicine after a couple of years working as an ER doc for the Air Force. So after my internship, I actually went on active duty, worked as an ER doc for 2 years, and decided that I was absolutely certain now that I didn't really think I liked the shift work and going back
Right.
and forth between nights and days.
Right.
And I decided that there were a lot of things I liked in medicine, so I would do internal medicine and pick one of those specialties, or do general internal medicine possibly. But it wasn't until my third year of internal medicine that I did a rotation in allergy with Phil Lieberman, who practiced allergy in the Memphis area and was former program director for the allergy training program there in Memphis, and he still taught in the program. And I spent a month with him, and after that month, I was completely changed. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't have any more interest in doing pulmonary or cardiology. I was sold on doing allergy. And even though I had to go back to the Air Force and do 2 years of internal medicine and pay back for having been given the opportunity to finish my internal medicine program, I interviewed for allergy programs and was selected for one for after I finished my payback to the Air Force, which I did. Spent 3 years at 2 years rather at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit,
Okay.
training there, and then eventually made my way back to Tennessee practicing allergy. But I really enjoyed my time in the Air Force and really enjoyed my time in Detroit and learning how to do allergy. Um, and after it took me a while after I got back to Tennessee, I was back for in Tennessee for like 12 years before someone from the Air National Guard and I crossed paths. And he talked me into coming back to the military. So I'm a weekend warrior. I don't do it
Okay.
anymore full time like when you're on active duty,
Yeah.
except for deployments. But I enjoy that part of medicine as well. I do flight medicine, and so I take care of the pilots and the other air crew, and make sure people are fit for duty to perform as an Air Force member.
I was just about to ask you what you do in your spare time, and it doesn't sound to me like you have a lot of spare time. Do you have other hobbies? I mean, between working with us and then your military reserves, what do you do if you have a Saturday where you don't have to do anything?
Well, we still like to do outdoor things. So we do a lot of hiking, or I run probably 3 or 4 days a week, and so I'll do a
Okay.
longer run on the weekend sometimes. We bike as well, more greenway biking, not really mountain bikers, more greenway bikers.
Yeah.
And then we enjoy music. My wife also enjoys music, so we do a lot of musical shows of different types. So concerts, we do Broadway. We have Broadway tickets through the Tennessee Performing Arts Center. So
Nice.
those are the kind of things we do to stay in the arts. And we like outdoor activities, which if you have allergies, it's hard to do outdoor activities.
Exactly.
And so for people who have allergies, there are things we can do to help, of course, get them back to being able to be outside.
Hmm.
Um, but those kinds of things are what I do in my spare time.
I heard through the grapevine that you have a funny cat. Maybe more than one? Do you have one cat or two cats?
We actually have three.
Uh-huh.
We did
Okay.
have four, but we're down to three at the moment.
Yeah.
And there is one. cat named Archie. He's a black cat,
Uh-huh.
and he weighs like 27 pounds.
Oh
So
my
it's a bit
goodness.
like a little bowling ball walking around the house.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful because he'll brush up against you to try to get your attention or to show affection. He
Yeah.
can knock you over.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
he's a big guy. He especially wants to do that when he's hungry, of course,
Yeah.
brush up against you, try to get your attention. It's time to eat.
Now
Um,
you mentioned you had allergies growing up.
yeah, so I was allergic probably pretty intensely to cats. That was one of my big allergies.
Yes, but
Um,
yet you own a cat, and I think a lot of people are afraid to know if they're allergic or not because they're afraid they would have to get rid of their fur baby.
right. So I think that probably is true. Some allergists have recommended to people when they test positive for an animal that they should get rid of them.
Hmm.
But I feel a little bit differently. I think there are a lot of things we could do to manage the environment where someone lives so that they could continue to be able to own a pet. Knowing that you're allergic can help you to focus on doing those things. And then
Hmm.
you could do like I did, and you can do allergy shots and desensitize yourself so that you're no longer having those severe symptoms. So now my cat can lick me and I don't break out in hives like I used to.
Right.
Um, and I don't sneeze and have watery eyes and all of those things being around cats anymore. So it's possible to be able to change our environment and then sort of healthy up our immune system so that we can be around animals again.
That is, I mean, that is a relief for a lot of people to know that. And the fact that you yourself were allergic and now you have three that you're living
Yeah.
with, I think is a true testament that allergy shots work.
Well, they absolutely do. The thing I was worse with than any of the other things was horse.
Oh,
And so, but I wasn't around horses a lot, but
right.
liking to be around horses when I could, I was unable to because I would, just being near a horse, I would break out in hives. In fact, I went to an indoor horse show and even developed difficulty breathing, wheezing.
Oh, wow.
And I don't have asthma, but I was
Hmm.
having a significant enough reaction to horse that it was more almost like an anaphylactic reaction. I was breaking out in hives, plus having chest symptoms, and had to leave. So when I did do allergy shots, I decided that to avoid those severe symptoms again, on those occasions when I might be around horses, we
Hmm.
would do allergy shots to horse as well, which I did. And so then when my kids were young, after I'd been on shots, we would go to shows like Dixie Stampede, and they have them in several places, Myrtle
Yeah.
Beach, Pigeon Forge. I think there's also one in Orlando.
Yeah.
Um, to those kind of shows where they have horses and it's indoors. I was a little nervous, of course, when I first went to one,
Hmm.
but after having been on shots for horse, I didn't have any symptoms.
That is so wonderful. You know, it's been so great getting to know you today. We've been wanting to sit down with you for a while. And I think, if you're listening out there and you're wondering what you're allergic to, or if you are allergic to your animals at home, you know how to make an appointment and come see us and come see Dr. Carter and get tested and get a plan. It's been so great to be with you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. It was really fun.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Let's Clear the Air. Please consider following this podcast, and remember, if you want helpful and accurate information about allergies and asthma, our allergy experts are here to clear the air.